So over the last 6.5 years I've been playing this game, I've done some pretty crazy stuff, ranging from the first ever Muddy Puddles Chimps completion, to blackboarding almost every single map in the game, multiple really high race placements, including 3 top 1s, 6 top 2s, 2 top 3s, and yes, 217 top 50s. Hell, I even have a first place in contested territory. But what I don't have is one of those in a boss. The highest ranking I have are 30 top 50s and 26 elite top 50s. But that might all change this week on this ranked Blastopolis. Now, a lot of you probably already saw me play this boss because I posted a video on it like a couple days ago. To summarize, it was a wild one because over 1,000 players tied for the same score, 17, because there was only one strategy, and one that was very easy to pull off. Hence, tiebreakers being decided on who finishes the fastest. Ultimately, I ended with a time of 37:34, making it good for second place on the first day. However, as you can see now on the last day, we are down to 29th, with the top time being 35 minutes, with the top 3 cutoff being 36 minutes, so about 1.5 minutes faster than my time. And now you're probably thinking, why am I doing this again? I normally don't like to ever post 2 of like similar or almost the same video back to back, because let me tell you, this rerun here is going to look very, very, very similar, but I feel like I have to for this occasion. Not to suck myself off here, but getting a top 3 in a solo boss may be one of the hardest things to do in this game. Emphasis on solo, because bosses have co-op leaderboards, which are magnitudes easier to get a top 3 on, which reward you with the same badge, despite there being much less competition, and thus much easier to get a T3. Here, in solo, you're competing against the best of the best. The greatest bossers to ever roam the earth. No, I'm not being dramatic there. I felt like shaving off 1.5 minutes off my current time might actually be doable because that time was so rushed. It only took me 1 hour to do, and I found so many places where time could have been cut, but 1.5 minutes? Well, find out. Once again, if you already saw the initial strategy on the first video, I still recommend to check this out because the optimizations are, needless to say, pretty nutty. So let's get to the strategy. Super Monkey, eventually being Legend of the Night. Village being Monkey Town, Engineer being Ultra Boost, and Azealia. Same placements as last time. That ended up being the best, and we're just gonna jump straight into Tier 1 here. So my split for my initial run was 425. So obviously we're gonna try to aim for lower than that, and that's how we're going to gauge how well we're doing throughout the run. So keep note of the 425, and same as last time as well, Totem being used at about mid-41, because I need it for Dark Knight as soon as I can, so I did multiple runs of every tier, let me just tell you, and I'll be showing you the best times of each split. So this one was timed perfectly so that I afford the Dark Knight right as the Totem is expiring. That's where the money is a big difference. And a crazy trick I found to save time through trial and error was on round 43 here. Watch this. We Dark Shift to the top side of the Monkey Town right before the skull hits. Reason being, I somehow found it so that this spot makes so the Dark Knight doesn't actually, like, get rocked. Which means it continues attacking at full speed, because that's what the 3 rocks do. They target close, least expensive, and most expensive, and thankfully Dark Knight is none of those in that placement. So that right there just shaved a couple of seconds off. Additionally, you might notice that I used Heartstopper on 43. That was so that Azealia can work on Blastopolis. I mentioned this last time as well, and I also mentioned there is a bug. Using Heartstopper once basically allows Azealia to hit Blastopolis permanently, unless you back out of the game, in which case it resets again and you have to reuse Heartstopper. So either one of 2 things. 1, I black border each tier of Blastopolis all the way through, no backing out of the game. Or 2, if I do back out, when I reload back in, I gotta spam Heartstopper immediately, and so Azealia can start doing damage. Her damage is pretty crazy. At level 8, it is 30 mob damage, which is a big deal, especially for Tier 1, where that's actually going to be a very, like, large chunk of your damage. Another huge optimization I need to make for Tier 1 was timing the rock skulls so that I would lose as little money as possible, because every time it hits the rock, the range of the village reduces so that it's never in range of the Dark Knight. So any balloons pop by Dark Knight in for 15 seconds does not get extra money. Which matters. Here comes last skull. Well timed so that it's only leads left, and, you know, Dark Knight doesn't need to damage them at all. If Azealia can clean up, that's great too, because she will get the bonus money. And with that, my best tier 1 time ended up being 4 minutes, 14 seconds. So if you keep in track, we're currently up 11 seconds. We'll just round to the nearest second here because we don't have to be super on point with that. That's great, but there is actually one issue compared to my initial run. I have less money. About $300 to be exact, so that's another thing we have to keep in mind. Not only do we have to worry about our time, but also the money, because obviously that might affect how early we get our next upgrade, which actually ended up being a big deal on tier 2 here, because Dark Champion is so much bigger than Dark Knight. And it took multiple attempts once again, but for the very start here, I timed it perfectly so that I can afford the Dark Champion as quickly as I can. So Azili on Strong, also hexing the mobs, and having Dark Knight shoot at an angle so that it doesn't, you know, waste Pierce and Heartstopper at the same time, and literally everything. The kitchen sink thrown at blast at once allowed me to afford Dark Champion in a record pace. After that, Zero Monkey on Strong for the most part, although every time the skull hits, I just have to be careful about some leaks, because at 61 lives, I actually really can't afford to lose anymore. I had to sacrifice a little bit of time there, no matter what. Now, I also had to lose a little bit of time here as well. For round 63, I needed to beat the surround wave before the skull hit. Otherwise, I'd leak it. I couldn't find a way around it. So Dark Champion had to be on last for like 1 second, just to do enough damage before it stopped attacking for a brief moment. I wish there was some way to have Totem for this round, because the Pierce would be huge, but I just couldn't figure it out while also needing it for 61, so rip. Third skull out of 4, I'd say pretty decent. We still had to, like, have the Dark Champion shoot first for a brief moment, but hopefully that 1 second does not matter in the long run. And for the last skull of tier 2 here, also only a first for a brief moment. I don't think we lost DPS there. We did lose a bit of money, though, because, again, the reduced range of the village while the rainbow was coming in is an unlucky combo. All in all, ending off at a time of... Whoa. What? 8:44? In 2 tiers, I've already cut off a minute off of my time. Did I really mess up that badly in the first run? I guess I did. But again, one issue. I have even less money now. Looking back, I'm down $500 compared to last time, which hopefully shouldn't matter too much because the next thing I buy with this defense is a Legend Knight, which I don't get until round 98, so that doesn't really matter. So here we go, first skull about to hit. Hex right before, because if we hex the balloon insides, then we get the extra money because Azili's under it, even though Dark Champion is not. And also no children, that's nice and all. Balloon children, I mean. This part here, there was nothing I could really do on 84. I tried hexing, but since there's mobs coming at the same time as the BFBs, some of the money, unfortunately, did have to disappear with the Dark Champion popping balloons. Next point of business, Dark Shift over here. And now, Dark Shift over here. Notice, we're about to overheat. It happens at the same time every time this tier. So thankfully this run, we also had it so that I use Overclock right before overheating. Because remember, resets back to full cooldown when overheating. And now for a major curveball. I remember in the other run, Blast Poplus in the corner here was trouble. There was a couple seconds where it wasn't attacking. So what I'm gonna do, that's right, we're moving it fully outside of extra income range, which is risky. But here is my rationale. 87 coming in for ZMGs, I just simply hex them. And so Dark Champion will not get any of the pops there. And the Legend Dark Shift cooldown is fast enough so that it comes back up for 88. So I still get the extra money come from the mobs here, while still having attacked blast the entire time. Huge stonks. And now that out of the way, Dark Shift back to the right side. And I tried to hex off all the BFBs in 91, but it was a little bit of a struggle, so it ended up, like, a lot of mobs end up running through. I think it might have eaten up the Pierce of some of the shots there, so lost a little DPS there. And also, no choice but to lose a little bit of money here, because the F-bombs are still coming in by the time the blast gets out of the range, so I have to Dark Shift outside of Monkey Town for the brief moment, sadly. But that's alright, we can hex the ZMGs for the bonus money, and take a look at that kill. 1812 upon 0 health, 1817. That's currently a minute 7 ahead of pace. So cutting off major time every single tier. Looking good, but remember, I have to cut 1.5 minutes to get top 3. So that still means I need to find 20 plus seconds for the last 2 tiers. And now tier 4, which I would say it took the longest to optimize for certain reasons. One, because I realized the margins were so thin, I had to pull this out. Even before tier 4 comes in, I dropped the totem. This is something I have not done in the previous years before. I would play the round and then drop the totem like 5 seconds in. Because I thought it'd be better than wasting time having like totem down while not having your towers stack it. But for this instance, it was needed because I ran through this multiple times and it ended up being the best timing in terms of the skull hits. Speaking of the skull hits, overclock is also perfect timing. Bam. Right as we were about to hit the skull and unable to use the overclock, it comes right back up. Thank you very much. Also, perfect Legend Line angle snipes the deities leaking. 103 is an easy hex round. 104 ends up still being alive right as we hit the second skull. But look at that. We get off the totem and the overclock right as the skull hits once again. So I don't think I could have performed that any better. Skull number 3, this is scary. But wait, Black Hole. Did anyone forget about that ability? It exists, and it works. So I figured just straight up tanking it is better than wasting time, like either dark shifting or having it shoot on first. I must ask you guys, it must look so easy, like, on paper, right? When you cut off all the fails in a run. But believe me, it took a lot of trial and error to get to this point. For the last goal here, I also had no choice because the portal was on cooldown. I had to put it on first for like half a second. Oh, and also, one glaring obvious omission I made last time was I didn't sell the Monkey Town for Ultra Boost. So I did that this time, but let me tell you, I don't think it really made much of a difference. And that's because of the timing of the overheat, which again, puts your abilities on full cooldown. And also Ultra Boost. When you buy Ultra Boost, it gets put on full cooldown. So I could not find an opportunity to sell for Ultra Boost, wait for a full cooldown of it, and get it off on the Dark Knight before it overheated. It was simply impossible for tier 4. And this time will end up being 2404. Whoa. Huge save this tier, minus 131. Now, after this point, and realizing that top 3 is legitimately in reach, I think I started, shaking a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Getting a bit of an adrenaline rush, so much so that I'm going to now switch over to live commentary, the only tier that I recorded live commentary on, so yeah. Let's have ISAB take over for the final tier for this legendary run. So it all comes down to this. Let's move Legend Knight to the correct placement, use Hex as well, and get our 10th stack right before 120 starts. I also did some stalling as much as I could between 111 and 119, and I was able to get 3 additional Azili stacks too, which could be a big difference maker. I'm also going to drop Totem in addition to the Ultra Boost. Let me explain why in a second. Wait for last damage phase now. Boom, boom. Perfect. The reason why I pre-placed these is the same as tier 4, so that the timing is better for tier 5 after crunching all the numbers, so let's get it. Reminder is Azili Heartstopper as soon as we can for a huge amount of damage. Yeah, what is that, 50 mob damage per shot? So the only thing that really matters this tier is the overheat phase, because that would put the Ultra Boost on full cooldown. Every other time, Ultra Boost is going to be active, well, 24/7. And yes, I even did the calculations on how long it would take for the boss animation to die. And it's 8 seconds for the last tier, meaning if I want to get second place, then I have to beat this by 35:43. Or if third place, 35:54. So keep a note of those numbers as we get near the end. For Skull now, Hex. Skull number 2. Nice. Another good timing. Skull 3 of 4. Decent timing again. I think I just tanked this. Remember, black hole, black hole. Nice. We legitimately do not want to waste a single shot on something that's not blast popless. So what I'm about to do here is I should have my Ultra Boost back up right before we hit the skull. And I gotta activate it, well, as close as possible to right before the skull. So I need 420k HP. Keep that in mind. Yeah, it's right about perfect. Let's wait. So that we don't have any downtime. Boom. That was about as close as you could be to getting that, I would say. Now I just hope none of those are getting Pierce capped. I don't think it should, because Legend has 20 plus Pierce. Always a concern. That's why I'm just gonna Hex this part as well. And there's nothing we can do other than wait for our cooldowns. So we gotta spam Ultra Boost here. Notice? There's nothing I could do to avoid the lack of an Ultra Boost for the 1 second there. Because that was about as close as I could do it. And this is it. 100k to go. With about 30 seconds to spare. Or 40. Why do I have an adrenaline rush right now? Totem? Okay. It's gonna be top 3, but can we get it? Come on. Nice. That's second place. Huge. And if that holds, that will be our first ever top 3 boss badge after 3+ years in the making. So overall, start to finish, all the optimizations I would say took about almost 4 hours. Yeah, what am I doing with my life? I guess making content. But let's take a look at the leaderboard. Bam. Back to second place, taking back what's ours. With 3 hours left, it should be a guaranteed T3. Narrator, it indeed did end up being a top 3. So I doubt I'll try for another top 3 again for a very, very long time, because I don't know if any other weeks would be as easy as this. Hope you enjoyed, and if you're not subscribed yet, then you better be. After seeing that right there. For more ranked boss challenges, click here.